The light is off. The room is quiet. You have been lying still for a few minutes, and you are almost there. That edge between awake and asleep, where the body begins to let go. And your cat is watching you. Not moving. Not asking for anything. Just watching. Eyes open, completely still, pointed directly at your face in the dark. Most people notice this and assume it means nothing. Maybe the cat is restless. Maybe it wants food. Maybe it is just being a cat, which is to say, unpredictable and a little strange. But what is actually happening in that moment has a specific reason, and what happens next, after you close your eyes and your breathing slows, is something that most cat owners have lived beside for years without ever knowing the full shape of it. Tonight, while you are asleep, your cat will do things that would change how you think about this animal if you could see them. Not random things, not instinct running loose in the dark. A sequence, deliberate, methodical, and aimed, at least in part, directly at you. Welcome back. If you are new here, subscribe before you leave, because what you are about to learn happens in your home every single night, and it will change the way you understand the animal sleeping at your feet. Tonight we are going into the dark, into the 3 hours after you fall asleep. Stay until the end, because the last thing we cover is the one behavior that scientists have only recently been able to explain. And it happens right before your alarm goes off. Number 1. Why your cat stares at you before you fall asleep. This is not random, and it is not affection in the way most people interpret it. It is a check. Cats are what researchers call a mixed activity species. Unlike dogs, which are predominantly diurnal, active during daylight like their human companions, domestic cats retain the activity patterns of their wild ancestors, patterns that peak at dusk and again before dawn. The period around your bedtime is, for your cat, a kind of shift change. Daytime is ending. A different mode is beginning. Before that shift begins, your cat performs what animal behaviorists describe as a social monitoring behavior. It is checking the status of its primary attachment figure, which, in most single cat households, is you, before moving into a period of independent activity. This behavior has been documented extensively in studies on feline attachment. Researchers at the University of Oregon published findings in 2019 showing that domestic cats form what is called a secure base attachment to their primary caregivers, the same type of attachment that human infants form with parents. Part of that attachment involves periodic monitoring, confirming that the caregiver is present, stable, and not in a state of distress. The stare you see before you fall asleep is that confirmation. Your cat is not waiting for something to happen. It is waiting to confirm that nothing is wrong before it leaves. There is something worth sitting with in that. The animal most commonly described as solitary and indifferent to human presence is, in fact, checking on you before it goes. What it does after that confirmation is where things get considerably more interesting. Number 2. The activation burst. What happens in the first 30 minutes after you fall asleep? Approximately 20 to 40 minutes after your breathing has slowed and your body temperature has dropped. The two physiological signals that a cat can detect reliably from across a room. Something shifts. The cat that was sitting motionless, watching you, is suddenly somewhere else entirely. Researchers studying indoor cat behavior using infrared cameras and accelerometer data have documented what is called a crepuscular activity burst. It is a sharp increase in movement, vocalization, and hunting behavior that begins around the time of human sleep onset and typically lasts between 30 and 90 minutes. In outdoor cats, This burst corresponds to the period of highest prey availability. Small rodents and insects are most active in the hours just after dark. Indoor cats retain this schedule even when there is no prey available and no reason to hunt. What your cat is doing during this burst is not playfulness. It is practice. The pouncing, the sprinting, the sudden stops. These are the kinetic vocabulary of a predator maintaining its skills against an absence of actual targets. A cat that seems to go suddenly insane after you fall asleep, running laps of the house, throwing itself at imaginary things, making sounds you would rather not hear at midnight, is not malfunctioning. It is running a system that kept its ancestors alive for millions of years. Studies at the University of Edinburgh tracked indoor cats with GPS-enabled collars and found that even cats with no outdoor access showed clear nocturnal movement spikes, with average speeds during the burst phase 3 to 4 times higher than their daytime baseline. Your house, in those 30 minutes, is something your cat is moving through at a speed you have probably never witnessed. And when the burst ends, something more deliberate begins. Number 3. The patrol. Why your cat checks every room. After the activation burst subsides, the behavior changes entirely. The speed drops. The movement becomes deliberate. Room by room, your cat moves through the house in what animal behaviorists have termed a territorial conformation circuit. Cats are highly territorial animals. Territory, for a cat, is not just a physical space. It is a multi-sensory record. Every room in your house carries a scent map that your cat has built and maintains over time. Who was there, when, in what state, and whether anything has changed. During the night, when the house is quiet and the human activity that disrupts this map has stopped, your cat refreshes it. It moves along walls. It pauses at doorways, the transition points between territories, where scent information is most concentrated. It investigates corners and low surfaces. The process is systematic in a way that looks almost methodical to anyone who has watched it on night vision footage. Researchers at the University of Lincoln, who studied indoor cat behavior, found that cats performed these confirmation circuits on average 2 to 4 times per night, with each circuit lasting between 8 and 20 minutes. The cats were not exploring, they were auditing. Your bedroom door is one of the most significant points in this circuit. Whether it is open or closed determines something important. A closed door registers as a territory boundary where a known member of the household, you, is present but inaccessible. Studies have found that cats spend significantly longer at closed bedroom doors than at other doorways, and frequently return to them multiple times per night. The scratching or meowing at your door at 2 a.m. is not arbitrary. It is your cat encountering an incomplete territorial record and attempting to resolve it. What happens when the patrol is complete is the part of the night most people never expect. Number 4. The return checks. What your cat does when it comes back to you. Somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m., your cat returns to where you are sleeping. Not once, multiple times. Studies tracking indoor cat movement have consistently found that cats return to the sleeping location of their primary caregiver between 2 and 5 times per night. These returns are brief, typically 3 to 8 minutes, and they follow a consistent pattern: arrival, observation, and departure. The observation phase is the part that changes how you understand the animal. Your cat is not returning because it is hungry, or cold, or restless. It is returning to check your status. The same social monitoring behavior that produced the stare before you fell asleep is operating in cycles throughout the night. Infrared footage of cats during these return visits shows a recognizable posture. Body low, ears slightly forward, eyes on the sleeper. The cat is reading information: your breathing rate, your movement, the temperature of your body under the blanket, sounds you make. Physiologically, it is processing exactly the kind of information that would tell a vigilant social animal whether a companion is well or in distress. Some researchers have described this as a vestigial protective behavior. Cats that lived with humans in agricultural settings historically shared sleeping spaces where mutual vigilance had survival value. The cat that noticed the change in a sleeping human's breathing before a fever became dangerous was worth keeping. The behavior persisted. Your cat is not watching over you in any romantic sense, but it is doing something that looks, from the outside, remarkably like exactly that. The last return, the one that happens just before the house begins to get light, is different from the others. And what happens after it is the reason you wake up at the same time every morning, even on days when your alarm has not gone off. Number 5. Before dawn, the final hour and the morning signal. In the hour before sunrise, something shifts in your cat's physiology that mirrors what happens in the dawn chorus of wild birds. Light-sensitive cells in the cat's retina, specifically the intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells that also regulate circadian rhythms in humans, begin detecting the pre-dawn increase in ambient light, even through closed curtains. This triggers a second activity peak that is distinct from the midnight burst. Where the burst was explosive and physical, the pre-dawn phase is something different. Purposeful approach behavior directed at the sleeping human. This is when your cat comes to your face. It will sit near your head. It may place a paw on your arm. It may vocalize a specific sound that cat communication researchers have described as a solicitation purr, a purr combined with an embedded high-frequency cry that is acoustically similar to a human infant's hunger cry. The sound is not random. Studies by Dr. Karen McComb at the University of Sussex found that humans instinctively rate solicitation purrs as more urgent and harder to ignore than regular purring, regardless of whether the listener owned a cat. Your cat evolved this sound specifically to wake you up. It is targeted, and it works. The reason you wake at the same time every morning, even without an alarm, is not entirely internal biology. It is your cat running a program that began the moment your breathing slowed the night before, moved through the house in the dark, and arrived, finally, at the place it started. Your face, in the growing light, with a sound you cannot quite ignore. The whole night, it turns out, was moving toward this moment. The light is off. The room is quiet. You are almost asleep, and your cat is watching you. Now you know what that means. Now you know what comes next. The confirmation, the burst, the circuits through the dark rooms of your house, the returns, 2 and 3 and 4 times through the night, to check that you are well. And finally, in the growing light, the sound designed by thousands of years of shared living, to pull you back from sleep. This happens every night. You have been sleeping through it for years. Tell me in the comments, have you ever woken in the night to find your cat watching you? Or heard them moving through the house after midnight and wondered what they were doing? I want to hear it. I read everything. I will see you in the next one.